He was sued by his HOA for parking in his own driveway. Real HOA story. Meet Mark Reynolds, 58, a retired electrician living in Oak Ridge Meadows, a middle-class neighborhood in Marietta, Georgia, just outside Atlanta. Mark's no stranger to hard work. He spent 30 years wiring homes, schools, and factories, often pulling 12-hour shifts to provide for his family. He's married to Diane, a nurse, and they have a grown daughter, Sarah, who's now a teacher. In 2020, Mark and Diane bought their dream home, a 2,800 square foot, four-bedroom house with a big backyard for their grandkids to play in. The price? $420,000, their life savings poured into a slice of suburban peace. Mark's pride and joy is his red Ford F-250, a 2018 model gifted by his late father, a Vietnam vet who loved trucks. Mark uses it for weekend fishing trips, hauling tools for side gigs, and family errands. Every night, he parks it in his wide, concrete driveway, right in front of his garage, just like his neighbors park their SUVs and sedans. It's clean, no dents, no leaks, a normal truck in a normal driveway. For Mark, life was good. But peace in Oak Ridge Meadows didn't last long. Less than a month after moving in September 2020, Mark's world gets rocked. He opens his mailbox and finds a crisp, white envelope from the Oak Ridge Meadows Homeowners Association. Inside? A violation notice, printed in bold red ink, oversized vehicle creating visual obstruction in driveway. Correct immediately or face fines. Mark's confused. His F-250 isn't blocking the road. It's not parked crooked. It's not an 18-wheeler, it's a standard heavy-duty pickup, same as thousands in Georgia. The notice cites Section 9.4 of the HOA covenants, claiming his truck violates community aesthetic standards. Mark laughs it off at first, thinking it's a mistake. He shows the letter to Diane over dinner. "They can't be serious," he says. "It's my driveway. I own it." Diane's not so sure. She'd heard whispers about the HOA's strict rules banning certain fence colors, fining people for unapproved mailboxes. Mark decides to call the HOA board the next day, expecting a quick fix. Big mistake. The HOA president, Linda Carter, 62, a retired HR manager, answers Mark's call with a cold, bureaucratic tone. "Mr. Reynolds, the covenants are clear," she says. "Your truck is oversized and disrupts the neighborhood's uniform appearance. Park it in your garage or off-site." Mark explains his garage is full. Diane's Honda CR-V and his toolboxes take up every inch. Renting a parking spot at a nearby lot? That's $250 a month, money they don't have on a fixed retirement income. He asks Linda to point out the exact rule. She snaps, "Read the covenants. Compliance is mandatory." Mark hangs up, stunned. He digs out the 78-page HOA rulebook from a moving box and finds Section 9.4, no vehicles deemed oversized or commercial in appearance may be parked in driveways overnight. The rule's vague, no weight limits, no dimensions, just deemed oversized by the board's discretion. Mark's truck, at 6,800 pounds and 20 feet long, is bigger than a sedan but smaller than many SUVs in the neighborhood. He starts noticing other pickups, F-150s, Silverados, parked nearby, untouched by the HOA. Why him? Mark's no pushover. He served 8 years in the Army National Guard, deployed once to Iraq, and spent 20 years as a volunteer EMT. He's faced worse than a picky HOA. But this feels personal. He writes a polite email to the board, attaching photos of his truck and others in the neighborhood, asking why he's being singled out. No response. A week later, another violation notice arrives, this time with a $50 fine. Mark's blood pressure spikes. He tells Diane, "I'm not paying a dime for parking in my own driveway." Diane's worried. They've heard stories of HOAs placing liens on homes. Their neighbor, Jim, a plumber, warns them Linda's got a vendetta against trucks. She thinks they make the place look low-class. Mark decides to attend the next HOA meeting to confront the board. He's about to learn just how ruthless Oak Ridge Meadows HOA can be. October 2020. Mark walks into the Oak Ridge Meadows clubhouse for the monthly HOA meeting, armed with his rulebook and photos. The room's packed, 30 homeowners, mostly older couples, eyeing him curiously. Linda Carter presides, gavel in hand, flanked by board members, Greg, a real estate agent, Susan, a stay-at-home mom, and Phil, a retired banker. Mark waits for the open comment period and stands. "I'm Mark Reynolds," he says. "I got a violation for my truck, but I see other pickups parked around. Can you explain why I'm being targeted?" Linda cuts him off after 2 minutes. "This isn't a debate, Mr. Reynolds. The board's decision is final." Next speaker. Mark's stunned. Neighbors whisper, but no one speaks up. He leaves the meeting fuming, realizing this isn't a misunderstanding, it's a power trip. The HOA doesn't let up. Over the next 3 months, Mark gets 3 more violation notices, each with escalating fines, $100, $250, then $500. By January 2021, he owes $900, with threats of a lien if unpaid. The letters accuse him of persistent non-compliance and disrupting community harmony. Mark's truck hasn't moved, it's still in his driveway, same as always. He tries calling Linda again, but she's unreachable. He emails the board, demanding a hearing. They schedule one for February but cancel it last minute, citing scheduling conflicts. Mark's frustration boils over. He tells Diane, "I served this country. I saved lives in this community. Now I'm a criminal for parking my dad's truck?" Diane suggests hiring a lawyer, but Mark hesitates. Legal fees could drain their retirement savings. Instead, he starts documenting everything: letters, emails, photos of other trucks, even timestamps of when HOA board members drive by his house, glaring at his F-250. Mark's detective work pays off. He notices Linda's car, a white Lexus, parked at Greg's house often. Greg lives 2 doors down and once complained about Mark's truck ruining his view. Mark suspects a clique. He talks to Jim, the plumber, who admits he paid a $200 fine for his work van to avoid trouble. Another neighbor, Maria, a single mom, says she got a $150 fine for her Chevy Tahoe but didn't fight it. Mark realizes the HOA's targeting anyone who doesn't fit their vision of upscale. He posts about it on Nextdoor, asking if others have been fined. The response is overwhelming. 15 neighbors share similar stories: fines for basketball hoops, holiday decorations, even a kid's tricycle left in a yard. But most are too scared to challenge the board. Mark's post gets deleted by a moderator, who turns out to be Susan's husband. The HOA's closing ranks. March 2021. The HOA goes nuclear. Mark receives a certified letter, a lawsuit filed in Cobb County Superior Court. The Oak Ridge Meadows HOA is suing him for $15,000, $900 in fines, $10,000 in legal fees, and $4,100 for community damages, claiming his truck devalues neighboring properties and causes emotional distress. Mark's floored. He reads the complaint aloud to Diane. The defendant's oversized vehicle undermines the aesthetic integrity of Oak Ridge Meadows. Diane's in tears. Their grandkids, visiting that weekend, sense the tension. Mark's daughter, Sarah, urges him to fight. "Dad, you can't let them bully you." Mark's torn. Settling would cost thousands, but fighting means risking more. He tells me in an exclusive interview, "I felt like I was in a bad movie. I'm a law-abiding guy. I pay my taxes, my HOA dues. Now I'm being sued for living in my own home?" Mark hires Rachel and Gwen, a Marietta attorney specializing in HOA disputes. Rachel's blunt, "HOAs like this thrive on intimidation. Their rules vague, and selective enforcement is their weakness." She estimates legal costs at $20,000 if the case goes to trial. Mark and Diane dip into their savings, determined to fight. Rachel files a motion to dismiss, arguing the HOA's rule lacks specificity and violates Georgia's Property Owners Association Act. She also demands discovery emails, board meeting minutes, anything showing bias. Mark's hope reignites, but the HOA's not backing down. They hire a high-priced Atlanta law firm, banking on Mark running out of money or willpower. Mark's next move changes everything. He contacts a local TV station, WXIA 11 Alive, pitching his story, "Retired veteran sued by HOA for parking his truck." The station bites. In April 2021, a news crew films Mark in his driveway, his F-250 gleaming behind him. "This truck was my dad's," he tells the reporter. It's not just a vehicle, it's family. The segment airs, titled "Veterans Driveway Drama, HOA Lawsuit Sparks Outrage." It goes viral, racking up 500,000 views on YouTube. Social media explodes. On Twitter, #FreeMarksTruck trends locally. Reddit's /HOA subreddit dissects the story, with users calling the HOA tyrannical. A Facebook group, Support Mark Reynolds, gains 2,000 members. Strangers donate to a GoFundMe for his legal fees, raising $8,000. Mark's stunned by the support but overwhelmed by the attention. "I just wanted to park my truck," he says. "Now I'm a cause." The media spotlight cracks Oak Ridge Meadows' silence. Neighbors start talking. Jim, the plumber, tells Mark he's seen Linda and Greg targeting blue-collar homeowners. Maria, the single mom, admits she's been fined $300 for her Tahoe's commercial appearance. A retiree, Clarence, reveals he paid $1,000 to settle a fine over his RV, parked for one night. At the next HOA meeting, 50 residents show up. Double the usual crowd. Mark speaks again, this time with allies. "Why are we being fined for living normally?" he asks. Linda struggles to respond, citing community standards. A board vote to suspend Mark's fines fails 3-2, with Susan and Phil siding with Linda. But the tide's turning. Neighbors form a petition, demanding clearer rules and an end to selective enforcement. Over 100 of 200 homeowners sign it. In court prep, Rachel uncovers gold. Discovery reveals emails between Linda and Greg, mocking Mark's truck as "that redneck eyesore." Another email shows Linda instructing the HOA's management company to make an example of Mark. Rachel also finds meeting minutes where the board ignored complaints about other trucks, including one owned by Phil's son. The HOA's case hinges on Section 9.4, but Rachel argues it's unenforceable under Georgia law, which requires HOA rules to be reasonable and specific. She cites a 2019 case, Smith v. Willow Creek HOA, where a vague rule was struck down. The HOA's lawyer counters that Mark's truck harms property values, but their evidence, a single appraiser's report, is flimsy, claiming a $5,000 drop without data. Rachel's ready for trial, set for September 2021. Mark's fight becomes a movement. He organizes a driveway freedom rally in August, inviting neighbors and media. Over 70 residents attend, holding signs like "My driveway, my rules." A local radio host, WSB's, covers it live, interviewing Mark. "This isn't about a truck, it's about fairness." The HOA board skips the event, but their absence fuels anger. Linda's real estate office gets negative Yelp reviews, accusing her of HOA bullying. Greg's listings drop. The pressure's mounting, but the HOA doubles down, refusing to settle. They're betting on their deep pockets, funded by homeowners' dues, to outlast Mark. September 2021. The trial begins. The courtroom's packed, neighbors, reporters, even a Reddit user live tweeting. The HOA's lawyer paints Mark as a defiant rule-breaker whose truck threatens Oak Ridge Meadows' prestige. They call Susan, who testifies Mark's F-250 makes the street look like a construction site. Rachel dismantles her, showing photos of Phil's son's F-150, parked without fines. Rachel calls Jim, Maria, and Clarence, who testify about the HOA's inconsistent enforcement. Mark takes the stand, his voice cracking, "This truck's my dad's memory. I'm fighting for my family's rights." Rachel presents the emails, exposing Linda's bias. The judge, John Harris, a no-nonsense veteran, questions Linda, "Why enforce this rule against one homeowner but not others?" Linda stumbles, admitting aesthetic preferences. The emails seal her fate. October 2021. The verdict, a total victory for Mark. Judge Harris dismisses the HOA's case, ruling Section 9.4 unreasonably vague and arbitrarily enforced. He cancels Mark's $900 fines and orders the HOA to pay his $22,000 in legal fees, citing their bad faith conduct. The judge also mandates a rewrite of the HOA's parking rules within 60 days, subject to homeowner approval. The courtroom cheers. Mark hugs Rachel, tears in his eyes. Outside, neighbors high-five, and WXIA airs the win live. The story goes national: CNN, Fox News, even a mention on The View. #FreeMarksTruck trends again, with 50,000 tweets. The GoFundMe hits $15,000, covering Mark's out-of-pocket costs. Mark tells me, "I didn't want fame. I wanted justice." The aftermath transforms Oak Ridge Meadows. In December 2022, Mark runs for the HOA board seat in the annual election and wins a seat, joined by Jim and Maria. Linda and Greg resign, facing lawsuits from other homeowners. The new board revises the covenants, allowing vehicles under 8,000 pounds in driveways. HOA fines drop 60% in 2023, and meetings become open forums. Mark's home becomes a local legend. Kids call his truck the Freedom F-250. But the fight wasn't easy. Mark spent 18 months stressed, lost 15 pounds, and strained his marriage. Diane says, "We won, but no one should have to go through this."